Okay, in this video, I'd like to talk more about the five platonic solids and their relation to frequency and matter. So let's get started. The five platonic solids represent the seen and the unseen very well. In the five platonic solids, you would start from the sphere, and your complexity would keep increasing as the frequency would keep increasing the complexity of the shape. So you would start from a zero and increase frequency until you got something more complex. And that's how everything is working from one end of the universe to the other. Frequency is the universal language. So you're only dealing with two dimensions always. You're dealing with space and you're dealing with counter space. Space is everything you see in the visible light spectrum, where electromagnetism exists, where everything is being modulated. Counter space is just the complete mirror opposite. It's antimatter. There's no light. It's a black hole. Everything's being pulled towards counter space at all times. That's what the gravity effect is. You have no time in counter space, and like I said, you have no light. Everything's working off of light because everything in the matter universe is hard light. So as you would come out of the sphere, which represents counter space or dielectricity or ether or pure potential, it would be like the plutonium. From the plutonium, you would have the explosion expanding into the matter or into the magnetism. So you would start from here with nothingness and increase into the matter. So from your sphere or your ether, your pure potential, you would jump to the tetrahedron, which is the Pythagorean secret to the perfect geometry of incommensurability. So when you're making this jump from the tetrahedron to the cube, this is where you would begin your matter. The cube is the simplest form of matter, and it symbolizes harmony and equilibrium. So just like Pink Floyd was showing you with their Dark Side of the Moon album cover, they would have the wand representing the counter space, and then you would see that pyramidal shape, the triangle, and then you would see the light emanating from that. All the colors of the light spectrum would be emanating from that, because this is the jumper. Everything's passing through here from counter space into matter. Here's the explosion from counter space to space in increasing complexity and frequency. So this would be your simplest shape, and you would just keep stepping it up. So when you get to here, you're dealing with this right here. You're dealing in angles, or like that view that the Freemasons use. This is called the megalithic yard. It's 2.72 feet. And this is where you get into interlocked rotating magnetic fields, because this is what is binding everything together and making it something solid. So as you would come from nothingness into visible light and keep increasing frequency, you keep increasing the complexity of your geometric shape until your shape wouldn't even exist at all, because it would be rotating and vibrating at such a rapid rate that it would become invisible and then would just return back to being pure potential. Meaning if you took this shape, which is a pyramid up, a pyramid down, just like a Merkaba, and spun it, it's on its axis, your geometry and complexity in your shape would keep increasing, and if you spun it fast enough and fast enough and fast enough, that shape and that object would cease to exist in the matter universe because it would be going so fast that it would completely blank out. And that's what you're seeing the UFOs do, and that's how they move. They're not moving in a classical sense by going from point A to point B. Rather, they are going from the matter universe and jumping into the counter space and then jumping back into matter. So that's how they're actually teleporting. They're not physically moving from point A to point B. They're jumping. So, like I said, as you keep stepping up the frequency, you keep increasing the complexity. When you get to this is the star Merkaba. Okay? That's what this is right here. It's this 6-pointed star. This is called the flower of life. And it contains Metatron's cube, and within it all the 5 platonic solids. So all of the 5 platonic solids, starting with the tetrahedron and going to your icosahedron, those could all fit into the star Merkaba. And this shows what I'm talking about here too. This is how consciousness and how your DNA is operating, because when spun and in rotation, when vibrated and in rotation, this thing is touching all these other points. See, this is how all these other points in space and time are connected and are happening instantaneously at the same time. That's how consciousness works. It's working off of the torsion field, and it's faster than light. So when you get into your DNA, this comes from David Wilcock, and he's saying that the vibrating seed, the Merkaba, produces geometry and matter. DNA is a 10-step rotation of a dodecahedron on a dipole axis. He says it's a wave that makes DNA out of hydrogen and oxygen vibrating at 7 hertz. Okay, 7 hertz is what Tesla basically found out that Schumann resonance is in Colorado Springs. Wilcox says that geometric resonance patterns make up everything, and he says there's more than 30,000 proteins that make up the human body. So your DNA is basically this. That's what your DNA is. It's this dodecahedron rotating. So when it's rotating, it's hitting all these other points or non-points. There's no time, there's no space, there's only geometry. And that's what the Freemasons are so obsessed with. Because when you get into the capstone or the pyramid, it's called the tetragrammaton. Okay, the Hebrew name of God, translated into 4 letters. YHWH or JHVH, and articulated as Yahweh or Jehovah. It means to be, to exist, to become, or come to pass. That's why this is so important, the capstone. That's why Jay-Z calls himself Hova. That's why he's always making the triangle sign with his hands. That's why the Illuminati use this as their sign. Because everything from there on in the chain is illumination. Because the true light is coming from the counter space, or the dielectricity, or the ether. You're just seeing the illumination manifest as matter, because matter is just hard light, high energy light. So that's why they use this symbol, because this is the real, the dielectricity, the ether, where everything permeates from. Everything from there on is illumination, which is fake. It's not real, and it's imaginary. So here would be the real world, here would be your illuminated world. So that's how this whole thing is working. Because Merkaba just means light, spirit, body. Merkaba. This is your 6-pointed flower of life, the center of everything, or nothing at all. It's your pure potential, your ether. Everything is being blasted from that plutonium into the matter reality, into solid objects. Because there's only one fundamental subatomic particle, and that's a proton. Because everything becomes a proton after so many minutes. So you're just dealing with subatomic hydrogen. It's the building block of everything, and that's how everything is forming. I hope you like this video. If you haven't seen my other videos, please check them out. Thanks for watching.